Hello, my name is Chris Nizak, and this is an actual play of Whirlwind Millionaire, designed by Phil Vecchione and published by Encoded Designs. Alright, let's talk about Whirlwind Millionaire. So, this game is about winning the lottery and what happens after you've won the lottery. I'm going to play this game solo, because it's a solo game. It has 3 phases of play, these 3 acts. Each act has 3 challenges. These are cards that I will flip that will tell me stuff that I'll have to deal with. For instance, a friend issue. So like I'll have money and then I have to deal with this thing. Like a friend comes to you and tells you about a business they want to start. They want to know if you want to be their partner and bankroll the business. Then you have to answer these questions and sort of talk through the game or write through the game. It's really a journaling game, but I'm going to play it as an actual play via audio. So like the first question is, who is the friend? What is their business idea? And then what is the outcome? The outcomes, you roll 3d6, and based on this table, if you get a 15 plus, it's profitable. If you get an 11 through a 14, it's negligible. If you get a 7 through 10, it's costly. And if you get a 6 or minus, it's disastrous. And there's other things that go along with that, which I will go over as I roll these numbers over the course of these 9 challenges. You are assumed to be playing yourself in this game, and you make a character based on yourself too. Now, your character is basically 2 ratings. It's wealth and well-being. You start with well-being. The idea is you're going to measure your physical and emotional health. The scale goes from 0 to 10. You can never go above 10, and you always start with a 10, but then you answer these questions and then adjust your score. So the questions are you getting by paycheck to paycheck or worse? I am, so I put a -1 to my well-being in that. Are you in an unhappy relationship? I am not, so I didn't put a -1 to that. Are you unhappy at your job? I am not, so I'm fine there. Do you have a physical or emotional illness, or are you in poor shape? I am not in the best shape, so I gave myself a -1 there. And then it's, have you recently had a traumatic life experience? Divorce, death in the family, move, unwanted job change, things like that. I've kind of had a bit of a thing for a while. So I gave myself a negative, that's a -2 there. So I gave myself the -2. So my well-being starts at a 6. Wealth is another thing that you measure, and it has the same deal. Except you don't answer questions, you just roll the dice. I already rolled the dice. I rolled a 6, which is not a great roll. So I start with 5 wealth. I have basically 1 on a scratch-off card. So I have made my character. I have a well-being of 6. I have a wealth of 5, which is a scratch-off card. You don't have to define that. The idea is that it's a scratch-off card money. And these next set of questions are the ones that you kind of use to gauge your feelings about what it would be like to finally have some money, to suddenly be richer than you were. And some of these may be challenged during the course of play. So the questions are like, what would you buy today if money was no object? I don't know what I would buy. I would probably just buy a new car. Because I would like to have a reliable vehicle. I would buy some new clothes, because I like to generally wear decent stuff, and my stuff's kind of old and ratty. I would travel a little bit more. I like going to big cities and seeing art, so I would probably do a little bit more of that. But I mean, maybe that's not buy. I might buy a new computer, so I could do more of these things. Like, I would definitely buy better equipment for streaming, for sure, and for podcasting. So that's what I would buy, I suppose, if money was no object. What would you change would you change your relationship status if you were rich? I'm currently single. I don't know. I'm not really sure what I would do if I was rich, relationship-wise. I might actually want to be single for a little bit longer, because I'd like to just not have to worry about somebody else at the moment then, and worry about if they were interested in being with me because I had money. What dream would you fulfill if you could pay for it right now? I would go to Paris, because I want to go to the Louvre and see the art there, and, travel around Europe. I think that would be amazing. What is your greatest fear about winning the lottery? I guess I'd be scared to see what would happen to my friendships and my relationships. That would kind of bother me. Like, they say that money changes people. So, I mean, I'd be a little worried about that. And my friends mean a lot to me, and the people that are close to me mean a lot to me. So seeing how that would affect my status with those people going forward would probably be problematic. Especially if it went wrong. Okay, so there you go. We have that kind of settled. So now let's play the game. We're in Act 1. So the idea is that these are the challenges that occur right after I've won the lottery. Everything's kind of new and exciting, and there are just people around trying to find me and my money and ask me about them. So here's the Act 1 rule that goes along with these cards. So inexperienced. Being wealthy is new to you, and you don't have good financial discipline. On a costly result, you lose 1 wealth in addition to the regular outcome results. On a disastrous result, You lose additional wealth, total of 2, as well as 1 well-being. So those are the things that that will happen to me. And then I'll have a closing question. Can every problem be dealt with if you have enough money? And it'll be at the end of the act. All right, so let's go with the first card. Act 1, first card. Family issue. A member of your extended family wants to go to college but cannot afford to attend. Their parent asks you to help. So who wants to go to college? Let's say that my cousin Brian lives in St. Louis. That is the person that wants to go to college. It's actually interesting. He's on the spectrum. So, but he's smart. Like he's pretty mildly on the spectrum for autism. He's an Eagle Scout. He's a good kid. Good guy these days. He's bigger than me. So then the question is, am I going to give them the money or make it a loan? It's a good question. I would probably make it a loan with a caveat. Yeah, I probably wouldn't. No. That's tough. These are tough questions. I would probably just give them the money, depending on how much it was and how much they needed. Maybe I couldn't fund all of their college education, but I could give them some of it. That's probably how I would go with that. And if they needed more, then I might make that back end part a loan. Now let's see what the outcome was. I had to roll some dice. I rolled a 10. So with my 10, it's costly. What I do does not work out. So I have to decrease my well-being or my wealth by 1, and you gain a negative tag. So let's see what happened. I loaned them the money. I gave them the money and I loaned them the money. They decide to, after a semester or 2, don't want to go to school anymore. They want to do something else with their lives. And I never get that money back. Yeah, that's really all that happens there. I mean, nothing else. Like, I never get my loan back. That decreases my wealth by 1. What negative tag do I get? There are a series of negative tags. There's unmotivated, black sheep, distant, rash, unsatisfied, jaded, guilty. And they do things too. And by the way, I lost an extra wealth because of the Act 1 rule. So my wealth is already a 3. Not great. I think I'll take the rash tag based on my decision, which gives me a -1 to business opportunities in the future. So whenever I roll the dice on a business opportunity, because this was a family issue, and they had little icons that go along with them. And so anytime I have a business opportunity in the future, I get a -1 to the roll. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's go with the second card. This is a personal challenge. You have decided to dedicate your wealth to solving your most troubling personal challenge: health issues, anxiety, religion, identity. What is your challenge? I think my biggest personal challenge, it's tough. It's either my health, because I've always wanted to be a little healthier, and I keep trying, but I keep falling off the wagon after a period of time. My other one is my identity, although I'm pretty solid with my identity. I want to be a writer, game designer, all that good stuff, and I kind of am doing that. I suppose my challenge is I do just want to do the whole game design podcast creation thing. I have a day job right now. I would just stop doing that job. I would stop being, I'm a custodian. I would stop being a custodian. So, that's what I would do. And let's see what the outcome was and see where it goes from there. Let's see how terrible this can go. I got a 10 again. That's another costly roll. Costly is what you do does not work out. Decrease either your well-being or your wealth by 1. I think I'll decrease my well-being by 1. I find that it's harder than I thought it was going to be, and I'm not getting where I want to be professionally as fast as I want to. And it ends up being a lot on me. A lot more on me and a lot more. I'm just not disciplined enough or not good enough to get things done. Adding in the Act 1 rule, I lose an additional wealth, so my wealth is now down to 2. So I might lose this game rather quickly. And I get another negative tag. I will take unsatisfied to go along with that. That's a thing that just happened. I tried to be disciplined. It's really hard to be disciplined. I would get up in the morning. I would write. I would edit. I would do all that stuff. But there's not like a lot of money in this industry. Eventually, it would just get overwhelming and depressing and hard for me. And that was always a thing that I've had a problem with in the past. So I could see that being a thing that happens again. Also, being alone during the day can be problematic. So I never really find a rhythm to my life, and it makes me very, very sad and very depressed. And I probably have to go back to therapy to figure things out, because I don't have like a solid routine or enough people time. So that's that. And by the way, that's the idea. Like, you're supposed to like write a paragraph or 2 about each of these things when you flip these cards. All right, let's see if I can get out of phase 1 without dying or losing the game. Because if I get to 0 wealth, I lose the game. 3. for Act 1. A charity opportunity. You decide to start a charity for yourself or in the name of a close friend or family member. What is your charity? My charity is probably dedicated to autism and autism awareness, autism education, and autism autism education for kids. So I probably end up doing that, starting a fund like that, and I probably dedicate it to my son because my son is autistic. So I will do that. This is a very high bleed game. I mean, I am basically talking about myself. So what is the outcome? I got a 12. That means it's negligible. Your efforts do not improve or harm anything, but you gain a positive tag. So yay, like the world isn't terrible this time, and I get a positive tag. So I start this charity and it does okay. It makes some amount of money for autism education. Not a ton, but it doesn't make anything worse for me or my son or the world in general. I'm just another person out there doing what I can to help make the world a better place for people who are autistic. So that's a thing that just happened. My positive tag, I think, would be charitable, because that's what I was doing. I was being kind and being nice. So that gives me a +1 to charitable opportunities. At least I didn't lose another wealth or well-being. Okay. So my charitable thing is it's just like a fund that has money sent into it that ends up going to Summit's education, Summit, which is a education services place in New York. And that's where all the money goes from this fundraising effort that I put together, which would probably have something to do with role-playing games. Like I'll probably put up products and things like that go along with role-playing games. And that is how my charitable foundation kind of goes forward. And I will invest money in the art and the editing and things like that for these products. Okay. So that is Act 1. Oh, I forgot the closing question of Act 1. Can every problem be dealt with if you have enough money? The answer to that is, in my opinion, no. Like, you can't deal with every problem if you have enough money. Like, that personal challenge, money didn't solve that. That's all about willpower and discipline and dedication. And the family issue, like, that didn't make, because of the way that the outcome rolled in, that didn't make the money didn't make the situation better. It just gave somebody an opportunity. So it didn't solve a problem. It just gives somebody a chance without having too much of a consequence. But I personally would have suffered the consequence there in that case. So, I mean, that's really all that does, is kind of shifts where the consequence lies. So I would say no. Every problem cannot be dealt with if you have enough money. Act 2 is disciplined. You've gotten smarter about controlling your impulses and spending sprees. When you face a personal challenge or life goal in this act, you do not lose wealth. Things might be a little bit better now. I've had money for a while. I don't have a ton left. My wealth's only 2. My well-being is 5. So things have not gotten better in my life just yet. Friend issue. This isn't going to help much with the life goal and the personal challenge thing. So yay. Your best friend is planning to move far away because there are no job opportunities in the area. You don't want them to leave and want to do something so that they can stay. Who is your friend? Man, this game is so personal. Okay. I'll say it's Bob. We all know Bob. Bob Everson. Let's say he got laid off from his job. I don't know. Why not? We have Encoded Designs, and I just put up the money to hire him as on salary to be a game designer and editor for the company. So I do that. So I will put up that cash for that. Let's see what happens. I rolled a 13. It's negligible, which means my efforts do not improve or harm anything, but I will gain a positive tag. So that's not the worst thing ever. It seems like, so let's see what I can do. Let's see what positive tag. I mean, that's Buddy, right? Like, Buddy's one of the tags. The tags are driven, familial, Buddy, savvy, content, charitable, clean. I feel like Buddy is probably the right one here. So I get a +1 to friend issues in the future. Certainly isn't savvy or familial or driven. But yeah, there's that. So a +1 to friend issues. So I hire Bob and things get done and we do okay, but it's not like it's making me any cash. It's just sort of a break-even situation. Like, Bob has money to live. The company keeps making things a little more often, enough to cover his costs in after a year or two of this. So our output's a little higher, but it's not enough to break things for us in a positive way. It just keeps us afloat like we have been all along. But we have a full-time employee now, sort of like funded by me, which initially, So that's not terrible. That seems like a plus positive to me. So hence the tag, right? There you go. All right, so let's go to card number 2. A business opportunity. Great. I have a -1 to business opportunities because I'm rash. Fantastic. So you are out one day at your favorite shop or restaurant. You find out from the owner that they are going out of business. You decide that that you can help. What is the business? I don't know. What do I like that's a shop or restaurant out there in the world? All right. There's a sushi place that really doesn't need help, but I really love it. So it's fiction. Let's fiction it up. There's a sushi place called Cooney's. I love it. It's kind of got the best sushi in Buffalo. Let's say they're going out of business. And the way that I'm going to help is I'm going to float them a very, 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 very low interest loan. So they can keep the doors open for a few months to get their feet back under them. Because they know the business better than I do. I couldn't really help with that. So I'll throw them money. See if throwing money at the problem helps. I get a -1 at this. I rolled a 11, which would have been negligible, but ends up being a 10 because it makes it costly. So, my wealth or my well-being is decreased by 1. In this case, it's totally my wealth. So that gets me to a 1 for my wealth, which is problematic. On the bright side, we're in Act 2. So on a costly result, you lose nothing. So I don't lose anything there. Interesting. So it looks like you can't really lose much wealth anymore, which I actually knew that, but it's fun to play it out and talk about it. So I float them the money. You know what? I'll go with the other way. Well, you don't lose anything on a costly result. So, but I do gain a negative tag. So the sushi place, it stays open for another month or 2, and then eventually it just can't make money, and it eventually closes its doors, which was sad. Like I no longer have this sushi place that I enjoy so much anymore. So I get another tag, and I'm gonna take jaded because obviously money doesn't really help anything, and that gives me a -1 to charity opportunities in the future. But that's unfortunate. Like my favorite sushi place just closed, and I couldn't help but save it, which is kind of depressing. All right, now let's go with our third card for Act 2, malicious confrontation. So a former lover claims you assaulted, abused, wronged them. They want you to pay money or go to court. Well then, who is the lover? What is their claim? Well, let's say it's Jen. Jen is my former lover. Let's say that she claims that I borrowed a fair sum of money from her, and it's a lot. Like it's a good chunk of change, and she could use that cash. And I would rather settle it quietly because I don't want to go to court about it. I don't want it to be public, and I don't want to drag a bunch of people into a thing. So I'm going to settle this thing out of court, and I'm going to roll the dice. And I got a 5, so this is disastrous. I only lose well-being, and I gain a negative tag. My life has not gone well so far with this money. On the bright side, I had enough investments at this point in my life that I could scrounge up the money to pay her off, but it opens up a lot of wounds from my relationship with her, and it puts me back into therapy for a while and makes me pretty depressed and sad. I've struggled with depression at times in my life, so there's that. So I'm going to take the guilty tag because I feel guilty about life at that point in time. So that makes me gives me a -1 to malicious confrontations in the future. So that's phase 2. All right, or Act 2, I should say. So here's the closing question. What part of your daily routine has changed the most since you became wealthy? What parts have remained the same? So I think the thing that has changed the most since I've gotten this money is that I've become this person who doesn't necessarily create things anymore. I get up and I tend to end up managing things because I'm managing cash instead of creating art. That is the biggest change, and probably a thing that is maybe kind of unhappy since this has all started, which is probably why my well-being is a little bit lower than it was to begin with. And money has become kind of central to my being and my core, like trying to manage this cash that I have so I can keep doing the thing where I help people make stuff, which is a thing that I enjoy too. I like helping people make and create and produce. The thing that has remained the same is that I'm probably still doing the podcasting thing. That is probably the thing that I still have left. So I probably have a little bit better equipment, better shows, things like that. Better sounding shows anyway. I probably have a recording studio of some parts, so I'm probably still, have a routine of recording episodes, editing episodes, releasing episodes, and managing all that side of life. So there you go. So every Tuesday at 8:45 Eastern, probably still doing the Mr. Director Mark podcast. because why not? Probably on episode like 500 now. Okay. Well, time to move into Act 3. I am shrewd now, so I've learned the secrets of the wealthy. Now, I don't have a ton of money left, but I have enough that I am constantly giving myself cash with my investments in my businesses that I've started. So when I face a business opportunity or charity opportunity in this act, I gain 1 additional wealth, even if the card says you cannot gain wealth. Well, let's go. Card number 1. Life goal. You take the trip of your dreams. Well, that one's easy. Where do I go? I go to Europe. I go to Paris first, and I spend a fair amount of time there, and then I probably get to England and to Spain. I probably go to Germany. I go to all those places, and I see all the beautiful things, and I enjoy all the beautiful things. There's a note on this card. You cannot gain wealth in this challenge if you have a profitable result. Take 1 well-being, you can still lose wealth on a costly or disastrous result. Now, on the bright side, I'm in Act 3. So, if I can gain an additional wealth, I will, even if the card says I cannot. But it's a time to go. But I have a -1 on life goal rolls from earlier, so there's that. Let's go and roll some dice. I got a 14, -1 is a 13, so it's negligible. My efforts do not improve or harm anything, but I gain a positive tag. I will probably take the positive tag of content, because, I mean, why wouldn't I be content? This has been a pretty awesome trip, right? I got to do and see all the things that I've always wanted to see and do. It'll also cancel out that -1 to unsatisfied. So there's that too. Yeah, I mean, I do travel all over. It was pretty wonderful. Well, I wasn't gaining wealth in this one anyway, because it's only the business opportunities or charitable opportunities, or charity opportunity. So I wouldn't have gained it anyway. That's just a clarifying thing. Sorry about that. So yeah, I mean, Europe was wonderful. I had a great time. It was tons of fun. And now I'm back home, content, because I satisfied one of my life goals. All right, let's go with card 2. All right, so a charity opportunity. So another charity. So I'm approached by a major charity that has some connection to some event in your life. You decide to donate money. I think Roswell Park. They come to me because my dad died of cancer, and he was a patient there, and they probably see that I'm a local businessman, and they asked me to help out with the thing. So I get involved. I have a nil for charitable opportunities because I have a +1 in one sense and a -1 in another from different things. And it's important to me because I hate cancer. Like, cancer has affected my life adversely a couple of times, especially with my father, but a few other people too. So there's that. And I guess I'll roll the dice now to see how this goes. So it's a flat roll for me. And I rolled really well. I got a 15, which is profitable. So I profited off of this charity thing. Interesting. So profitable is what you do works beyond your expectations. Your well-being and wealth each increase by 1, plus you gain a positive tag. My wealth just went up to 4, and my well-being went up to 5. Well, that was the first good thing that's happened to me this entire time, and that's probably made me driven, because I probably found like a real thing to get behind in this life that I've been living, somewhere where I actually made a real difference to a lot of people. Let's see, what actually happened then? Roswell comes and asks me for money. I'm actually part of an events organization too. I help run an events company like Effect Gaming, which, we run the Queen City Conquest. I probably invested some money into that too. So I'm like, well, why don't we do a thing at a major convention, and I'll spearhead it and organize the people, like at Origins or something like that, and we'll see if we can't funnel some money towards this. Or maybe I'll do it at Nickel City Con. So that's a local convention. It's probably gotten a lot bigger by this point in my existence, since this is probably a good chunk of change in time after I've gotten this money. I put together this fundraising thing with all the celebrities and whatnot that come to Nickel City Con, and get a lot of the people on board that are part of Nickel City Con to donate part of the profits from the convention to Roswell Park for cancer research. And it's not a small amount of money, and I get a nice little, not on purpose, but just kickbacks and donations and nice things and gifts and such from people who appreciate everything that I do for them. So I mean, I didn't ask for any of that stuff, but like wealth isn't just money in this game. Wealth is items and objects and things of value and whatnot. Like, I could have gotten somebody could have given me a painting of some sort that is quite valuable. Maybe I got a Peter Max or something like that. something, a piece of fine art that I'm very fond of, stuff like that. Maybe I got some memorabilia from some of the celebrities that were in Nickel City Con, maybe a movie poster from like, Age of Ultron, or not Age of Ultron. Why would I want that? Probably Infinity War, that was signed by a bunch of the cast members. That would be worth quite a bit of money, and also just be a nice piece to have in my house. So there's that. That's what happens. Okay, I got one card left. Last card. It is a business opportunity. This is also going to go well for me because it's Act 3. So my financial advisor is probably Wayne Chang at this point. Comes to you with word about a startup company that is working on a product or service that is relevant to your interests. Oh man, this has got to be something for, so the company. So the company is probably some sort of tech company that is trying to do something with games, with role-playing games, probably like EPUB or something like that hasn't existed yet. A new format, a new platform for e-publication. That is what they're selling. I think I like that. So we talk about e-publication sometimes in books for, like textbooks have it nowadays, like role-playing games don't have it. These interactive sort of more multimedia books. And they figured out a way to do it on the cheap, and still make it work nicely. So that's what I invest in. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna roll the dice. Do I get any? I still got a -1 to business opportunities from Rash. Do I have any +1s to business opportunities? No, I don't. I have a -1 to this. I'm bad at this, so this is gonna be poor. This is probably going badly for me. Yeah, I got a 7. -1 is a 6. This is disastrous. So what I did makes everything worse. So I decreased both my wealth and well-being by 1. Normally I would gain 1 wealth because of the Act 3 rule, so you gain 1 additional wealth. When you face a business opportunity or charity opportunity in this act, gain 1 additional wealth, even if the card says you could not gain wealth. No, I actually don't. I would gain an additional wealth, so I don't gain any wealth, right? So I lose 1 and I lose 1. So the last thing I do in this is pretty bad. It takes my well-being and my wealth down. And I get a negative tag. My negative tag is I'm probably unmotivated to help out anymore, especially when it comes to business opportunities. So let me just click unmotivated here, which is my last tag. So what happens is I invest this money in this company. They try to launch, but they just don't have the marketing behind it to make these books widely available, and they can't get people to jump onto the platform. So the tech is solid. My money investment doesn't really work in getting the word out like I was hoping it would, and getting people to adopt this new technology for their companies. They just, role-playing games aren't ready for that yet. Everything kind of falls by the wayside, and this company goes belly up. So that's what happens. And it's just like, I'm once again disappointed in the industry and how it all worked. So I walk away from that business venture, with less money and kind of unhappy with the situation. Now we have done the 9 challenges. Then I have the one question after Act 3. So what do you hope your money will do for your family, friends, businesses, and charities in the future? So I hope the money that I have left will just help enhance the lives of the people around me. Like, money doesn't solve problems, but it can give people opportunities. And that is what I hope the money does. Like, maybe it'll help, the people at Roswell from my charitable organizations and donations that I've managed to come up with, make some people's lives better, or at least longer, or at least more fulfilling even if they are sick, or help them in getting better, especially after they're done beating their cancer, especially during the process. It's awful. I hope the businesses, they continue to be profitable, and the people that are working on them enjoy, have this place that they can work, that they enjoy the work that they're doing, because it's nothing worse than doing something that you hate. My family and friends, I hope my family, I didn't talk much about my family during this, except for the one time when I threw some money that way, because there wasn't much there. So, I hope my family ends up, like, I have enough money to help my nephews and my nieces go to college when they're a little older, make it a little less of a burden on them financially. And my friends, I hope that they can find some enjoyment when they're at least with me, and that if they want to, because I tend to work with a lot of my friends because of the work that I do, that they find life that they can enjoy. So that's what I hope to do with that. All right, so after the 9th challenge, the ever after. So if I still have some wealth and well-being, I've survived and possibly even prospered, I have to answer the following questions. So what is the rest of my life like? It's not easy, but it's fulfilling. I have cash, but I'm always struggling because I always want life to be better for myself and for the people around me. And I don't have a ton of money, and I don't have a ton of well-being. Like, I always push myself probably way too hard. My legacy is that I never really amounted to much when it came to the games industry, but the work that I did at least made some people in Buffalo's lives better, especially when it came to cancer research. And that is the thing that I'm known for. And my events organizing went better than anything else, strangely enough. Since I have less money than I started with, what did I miss about the big money? I don't really miss much about it because I lost a lot of it early from stuff that was about family and such. So, I mean, it's not that awful not having this cash. My life is easier than it was when I started, so that's good enough. So I guess if anything else, I missed some of the dreams that I had. So there's that. I also have less well-being than I started with. And so it asks, what one thing do you think you could have changed to have a happier life? Well, based on the play of the game, I could have dealt with my relationships better, because that was the thing that cost me a lot of well-being, was my relationship with Jen. So, I mean, being a better human being with my romantic entanglements probably would have done me better in the future. So there's that. Okay, so that's Whirlwind Millionaire. I ended up with 4 well-being, 3 wealth. My tags were rash, unsatisfied, charitable, buddy, jaded, guilty, content, driven, and unmotivated. And based on my life, that is what happened to me after I won the lottery. Thank you for listening to this AP of Whirlwind Millionaire. I hope you go pick up the game on drive-through cards. It is $5.95, which if you live in New York, that's less than 2 Powerball tickets. If you don't live in New York, it's 3 lottery tickets if they're $2. It's 6 lottery tickets if they're $1. So there you go. It's about the same price as a $5 scratch off. This has been a Misdirected Mark production, the media arm of Encoded Designs. I hope you enjoyed the game as much as I did. Thank you for listening. 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 Thank you for listening.